Blah, blah, blah.
Death is only the beginning, my sickening scarabs. For it is time for another episode of Shelf-O-Ween. So far, the Universal Monster Comics has been on a bit of a downward spiral. Dracula was an absolute feast. The Creature from the Black Lagoon didn't have the best pacing, but was a decent enough read, and Frankenstein comes in last with a great adaptation of the source material, but fell hard with its original content. But now we've come to the run that brings it back to life. For the most part. So ready the Scroll of Thoth, for we are ready to dive into The Mummy. The Mummy 4-issue run was released March through June of this year, and was written and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks, best known for the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics, which shows with the art style in this book. Am I disappointed that the art style isn't as dark or scary like Dracula was? A critique that I've had this entire fucking review series? Well, yeah, but this one I can forgive, and it's merely due to the story. The Mummy, story-wise, is another between-the-scenes story like Dracula and Frankenstein. The focus is on Helen, the leading lady of the original film, originally played by Zita Johann. We follow her through her youth up to the events of the film, where Imhotep is trying to bring back his lost love, Ankhesenamun, by finding her reincarnation. But there's a rather fascinating twist. Helen can actually communicate with Ankhesenamun's soul, and has been for years. It started the second the Scroll of Thoth was read and Imhotep rose from the grave. The reading of the scroll somehow made Helen aware of Ankhesenamun, who was just spectating Helen's life while giving play-by-play commentary. They became fast friends and lived the next decade with each other, which leads into the movie's events. Ankhesenamun doesn't remember who she was, though, likely caused from being reincarnated over and over again, living out multiple lifetimes for at least 1,000 years. But all of that changed when Imhotep began calling her. And she's naturally scared at first because this is not normal. No one has ever been able to communicate, let alone call to her before. But what I found personally cute was Helen trying to comfort her disembodied bestie. This is the kind of quality I've been wanting. In my eyes, this is the kind of formula that made Dracula work so well. Take liberties and show us things we haven't seen with the characters we know from these movies. That, I feel, is what shot Frankenstein in the foot. We weren't getting anything new from the actual movie cast. We were following a new character, a small boy at that. Here, it's a completely fresh narrative following the characters we know that can coexist with the movie's storyline. To an extent, but we'll get to that later. Okay, what was I saying about the art style? Oh, right. Yes, it's the most cartoony looking style so far, which makes sense since the creator and artist worked on a literal cartoon comic book. But I think it works here, and the main reason why is because this is not presented as a full-on horror book. I describe the Mummy movie the same way James Rolfe does, a love story that's lasted 1,000 years. This series emphasizes more of the romance than the horror. And you know what? It actually works! When we get to the scene in the movie where Imhotep shows Helen their history to remind her of who she was, Faith brilliantly works it to where Helen is spectating Ankhesenamun's life. We see her sneaking around with Imhotep behind her father's back to her slowly dying of the plague. We see Imhotep steal the Scroll of Thoth and attempting to resurrect his love. And where in the movie this is told with Boris Karloff narrating the events, here we have the characters speaking for themselves. I think this is the most genius step since we get to experience how much Imhotep and Ankhesenamun loved each other firsthand. My favorite part, though, is when Imhotep is being sentenced to be mummified alive by the pharaoh. I loved my daughter, but I would never spit in the faces of the gods for her. Then you did not love her enough.
Gonna need a sensu for that one.
Now, this isn't to say that there aren't still horror elements in this story. There is a moment in the final issue where Imhotep tells Ankhesenamun, now in full possession of Helen's body, that he plans to kill her to transfer her soul into the original mummified corpse, so she will be immortal like him. Ankhesenamun realizes that her boy toy might be a little fucking crazy, and despite being completely content with hijacking her body so she can be with her lover, she draws the line at killing Helen. 100% on board with locking Helen's soul away in a sarcophagus in the back of her mind palace, but murder? That's a bit too far. What, I never said the plot was perfect. It's here she sees Imhotep's soul for what it really looks like. A rotten, evil corpse who seeks her not just out of love, but greed. Let me tell you, 1,000 years locked in a box made man a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Pulled out the old tried and true, oh, I did this for you, but you won't do it for me, how fucking dare you? One thing I will critique the movie over is the climax being a little dull, but this is not the case here. Frank and Dr. Muller arrive in the Cairo Museum to confront Imhotep and save Helen, when Imhotep, in a move not seen in the movie, resurrects other mummies to attack them and keep them at bay. Or should I say, Ardith Bay?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
In conclusion, this series is fantastic. It still doesn't quite touch Dracula, but I'll be mummified alive if it isn't close. Helen is such an endearing character to follow. Her relationship with Ankhesenamun is heartwarming and downright adorable at times. Once again, it fits great as a companion piece for the movie and actually fixes some of my personal critiques with the film. And the focus on Imhotep and Ankhesenamun's romance and relationship was a fantastic addition. If you want more horror, watch the movie, but if you want more romance, read the comic. They perfectly complement each other. And that wraps up this episode of Shelf-O-Ween. We have one more week until Halloween, so join me on Spooky Day for my final thoughts on this series, my personal ranking of each run, and a quick review of the ongoing Invisible Man comic. See you guys there.